up in Connecticut. So, and I went to college in Boston. So, you grow up watching those guys and listening to them on TV. And my parents love Tommy Heinsohn. He's about as pro Boston Celtic as you can be, but he always had an encouraging word when things were tough. And he had, having been a great player there, a great coach there, and then certainly a great announcer, I have great respect for him. He's a wonderful person. And then, of course, Danny Ainge and the ownership there was, fantastic.
I've always been told that Boston fans are among the toughest in sports. Did you find that to be true, or did you not have to worry about that because you guys were winning?
Well, the thing that stood out to me, there were two things. I was in Houston the year before I went there, and that was a year in which the Celtics were not very good. They had lost 18 in a row, but I remember we went in with the Houston team at the end of the year, and it was sold out. And I just couldn't believe that it was sold out. And so when I got there, I asked some of the people on the business side how they did it, and they just said they had done a lot of work to get people in, but it was an easy sell because of the tradition of the team. And then, of course, at the beginning of the season, oftentimes players would come back. And I remember John Havlicek came in and he talked to the team. And he shared with the team, how great it was to play in Boston and what it meant to be a Celtic. And he talked about the fans. And he said, the building will win you 5 games a year. And I think he was right. That the fans are, very knowledgeable. They're into every play. You feel like they're on the journey with you. And that's exciting. And, their expectations are real high. But it's a great sports town in many ways, very similar to here.
I'll ask a couple basketball questions. I'm going to ask what I hope are some fun questions, and we'll wrap things up and let you get back to work. When you spend an off season like this, are you thinking, okay, what do I need to change, or do you get down to the fundamentals of what you already believe in?
Yeah, no, you're hitting on something I think that's critical. So I think before you move forward, you always want to examine what occurred last year. So you take all the things that you did well. You take the things that you didn't do as well as you would have liked, and then you try to generate new ideas over the course of the summer, things that you may want to try, get a look at in training camp or in fall practices, things that you think will fit you better. So that's where we are with that. So I think the challenge last year going into camp was, with so many changes, how quickly could we get everyone onto the same page? This year it's different. Now we're a playoff team, and LeBron comes to the West, and it'll be even more challenging this year. So we have to make sure that we have a great training camp and we're ready for the start of the season.
One thing I heard a couple of coaches say during the playoffs last year, including Steve Kerr, was people always want you to change, but you should never change something until you make sure everybody's doing it as hard and as well as they can. Is that kind of a good coaching philosophy to have in the NBA?
Yeah, it's, and again, it's, like when you're looking at things, certainly during the course of a game, as you prepare to play a game, you're always analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of your opponent, your own strengths and weaknesses, and then you formulate your game plan. And usually you have a primary way that you'll do something, and then there's a secondary way that you'll adjust to if you need to go to that. And that's all thought out beforehand. But if something is not working and you're getting beat on it, I think that's a very important question to ask yourself is, one, are you doing it hard enough? And then two, are you executing it properly? And sometimes you are. And that's really when you change. If you're just changing to change, whatever it is you move to next, if you're not doing it hard enough and you're not executing that won't work either. So I think it's important to evaluate the first two things first.
And what has gotten a lot of attention, it's the NBA offseason is now one of the biggest sports seasons in the world. It's amazing what happens. Somebody was pointing out the other day, like 3-4 years ago, people have said, oh yeah, LeBron's going to go back to Cleveland, win a title, then go to LA. It's like the movement, the drama, it's all very entertaining. Unless you're in your seat, it might not be as entertaining. So the offseason at least the speculative part of the offseason gets dominated with relationship talk, Jimmy, Cat, Wiggs. Where are you with all that? Are you concerned? Do you talk to them about it? What do you do?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, and you're right, the way it is right now in the NBA, particularly with social media, and I see you're a big part of that now,
I'm
too.
afraid so. I am. It's funny because I told my friends 10 years ago, I'll never be on Twitter, I'll never be on Facebook, I'll never do. And now, combination of the job requirement, and also I run my own podcast network, and I have to promote it, or people will know about it. I am in that cycle, and you know what? I hate it. I freaking hate it. But I have to do it. At least I feel like I have to do it. Maybe someday somebody will prove to me that I don't need to do it, and then I will be very relieved to delete all my accounts. But at this point, I'm still in that world.
No, it is fascinating, and how quickly everything does move now. There's so many stories, and there's so many bloggers, and things get out so quick, and everyone's looking for clicks, and it's you could be chasing rumors all day, And I think, for us, it's trying to you want to share what the truth is, and oftentimes those things are just to create controversy. They're unfounded, so you deal with it as best you can, and it's a challenge for everyone in the league, and not just the NBA. I think if you look at all sports right now, how you manage that and understanding what you put out there can be looked at a lot of different ways also. So I think people have to be careful with it, but it is great. I think it allows you to get your story out there, and players have become really their own media companies, and so it's
especially NBA players.
Yeah, no, it's in a lot of ways it's been great for the growth of our game. There's a lot of there's some downside to it, but there are a lot of positives to it as well. So we want to try to take advantage of those positives.
Right. Let's do a little word and name association. Just give me a word or a short sentence just in response to these people and these things. Kevin Garnett.
Intense, special. He's wired a lot differently than most. Just a true superstar that, I saw what he meant to our team in Boston, and winning a championship with him was special.
Lindsay Whalen.
Same. What she's done for the Lynx is remarkable, and to play as long as she has is a credit to her, and I'm sure she'll do a great job at the U.
Bill Musselman.
One of the all-time greats. People don't know that. It's a great winner. Again, that same intensity. His will to win was special, but everywhere he went, he won big. And really, getting this organization off the ground those first 2 years, if you went back, you would understand how great he is. And, of course, what he did at the U was really special as well.
Coach K.
To coach with him was such a unique experience, because I didn't really know him, and I got to know him really well. And he's certainly an all-time great. To do the things that he's doing at the level that he's doing them at, I think that's the mark of greatness. And every year he's so driven to do great things. And the thing that I always go back to is as we were preparing to play against Serbia for the gold, it was like 3 a.m. We're in a film room, we're in a ballroom in a hotel, and this guy was so driven to win that gold. And I just thought it was so special, for all of his accomplishments, to have that drive, at where he is in life, tells you how special he is. And he's a great leader, great communicator, great motivator, and of course his knowledge of the game is special.
3 a.m., huh?
Yeah, it's pretty. And he does it day after day. See, I think that's really what separates people: the ability to sustain a very high concentration level and intensity level over a long period of time, and he does that.
Wow. Greg Popovich.
The same, I think leadership, the way he's won, the way he built. I was in San Antonio right before he got there, and we had about a 3-week crossover and just to see, and it was a pretty good organization when he arrived in terms of David Robinson was there, and it was pretty much a 50-win team, but then he took it to a whole different level, and he's kept it there. And so to be able to sustain it, and there was the passing of the guard where it went from Robinson to Duncan, and then it was the guards, Parker and Ginobili, then it became Kawhi, and it just goes on and on and on, and that's a credit to his leadership ability.
Did you come across Red McCombs in those days?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
Did you get to know him?
Yeah. Actually, was at his house for dinner. He was around quite a bit. He was a great owner. Enjoyed my time. Funny guy. Did a great job for the Spurs.
It's funny because when it became clear that he was going to buy the Vikings, I went down and spent time with him in San Antonio a couple times. Then, right after he bought the Vikings, I said, "Hey, I want to do something special with you." He ends up putting me and a photographer on his private plane. We fly to his resort or vacation house, whatever, in Durango, Colorado. We ended up hanging out with him for a weekend, and it was he was a great host. Now, Viking fans got mad at him because he kind of stripped the franchise and sold it, but I always got a kick out of Red. I thought he was kind of a fun guy.
Yeah, he was a very interesting guy because obviously self-made, and when he had the Spurs, he was always talking about bringing an NFL team to San Antonio, and they built the Alamodome, which was a beautiful building, but it was built for football. And then it didn't work out, and then he ended up buying the Vikings. And but he's done a lot of great things down there, and he's just a great person.
Steve Kerr.
Yeah, he's had a remarkable career. Actually, he's done just about everything. Obviously playing, general manager, owner, TV analyst, and then of course all the great stuff he's done with the Warriors. And he hired a guy who was my assistant for a long time in Chicago, Ron Adams, who's maybe as good a coach as there is in the league, and they've done just an incredible job there. And the thing that stands out about Steve is just great humility, just great person, great humility, and he'll be a great coach for a long time.
Taj Gibson.
Unsung hero, just the ultimate team guy, team first. Whatever you ask him to do, he's willing to do. Totally selfless, hard-nosed. He's going to give you everything he has every day. He's a special guy. He's a great teammate. Everyone who's played with him has loved playing with him. Two
more names and one more question. Danny Ainge.
Oh, great competitor, very, very smart, and a great risk taker. And also one of those guys who's very lucky. Everything he touches, it works out. He too is just a great person, great leader. And the time in Boston was really special for me because I saw how well Doc and Danny communicated on a daily basis, and that didn't necessarily mean that they agreed on everything, but every day they talked, and they had a great relationship because of the communication that they shared with each other each and every day.
Last name, and one more question, then we'll let you get out of here. Jimmy Butler.
It's an amazing story when you go back and look at what he's done. To be drafted 30th, and again the same thing in high school. He was a good player, but not a great player. Then junior college got better. Then Marquette got better. Taken 30th in the draft. Played a little bit his rookie year. He probably would dispute that. But probably the thing that stood out about his rookie year the most was it was a lockout year, so he missed summer league, fall practices, and we really weren't practicing very much because of the condensed schedule. But I recalled his first meaningful game that he played in was in March, and Luol Deng was out for the game, and so Jimmy played, and so his first opportunity to really play was against Carmelo in New York, and he played a great game. And right there, that told me a lot about him, but also the way he approached things, even when he wasn't playing. Every night he would come in and work with Luol. They would shoot, lift, and do recovery. And so I knew when he got the opportunity, he would be ready. And then every year he's gotten better, and he's made himself into one of the elite players in this league. And he's an all-NBA player, and I think we saw the impact that he had on us. I think we were 37-22 with